Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney is making moves about a potential timeline in her investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election.
She has requested judges not schedule trials or in-person hearings at the Fulton County Courthouse in the first few weeks of August. She also requested that most of her team work remotely during that time. Last month, she advised local law enforcement leaders that she intends to announce a decision between July 11th and September 1st.
CBS News investigative reporter Graham Cates joins us now. Graham, we're going to discuss the Georgia investigation in just a minute, but let's start here in New York. The former president is appearing virtually in his Manhattan criminal case. We know you're going to be there. What should we expect?
So this is almost like a standard proceeding, but nothing is normal when it's former President Donald Trump in a criminal court hearing. He'll be, instead of attending in person, tomorrow he's going to be on a TV monitor in the same courtroom where last month he was in person. And the judge is going to explain to him a protective order that he's putting into place in the case, which will largely bar Trump and his legal team from discussing material turned over to them as evidence during the discovery process of his trial. So some of the material that'll be kind of labeled by the prosecutors, he will only be able to view in the presence of an attorney. He won't be able to make copies of it or take photographs of it. And other material he can do that with, but he won't be able to publicize it about. They won't be able to talk about certain prosecutors or, I'm sorry, members of the prosecutor's team under the order. And the whole point of this is the judge is going to explain this order to him, say that it's mostly standard, and Trump has to acknowledge it and say that he understands it, and then he'll abide by it.
Graham, just to clarify, though, for our viewers, because there are a lot of different cases, this one in New York is...
This is the criminal case. He was the first ever former president to be charged with a crime last month on April 4th. And this is 34 falsification of business records counts. They're all felonies. And if that was the first time a former president has appeared in criminal court, this is the first time a former president has appeared virtually in criminal court. So every little hearing is in its own way a footnote in history.
Yeah, a lot of firsts, right? All right, so let's turn back to Georgia now. How should we understand, as someone who has followed the developments in Georgia very closely, these latest moves by the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis? Because, you know, a lot of folks are trying to read the tea leaves here. Of course, only she knows what's coming next or what could be coming next. But what's your sense of how we should interpret these moves?
Well, look, last month, she sent a letter to the sheriff down there saying between July 11th and August 30th, we're expecting to make charging decisions with relation to our investigation into interference in the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. And the important thing here was this was a letter to the judges saying don't schedule trials for that time, but it was also sent to the sheriff. So this is, if you're going to read the tea leaves, what you can kind of read into that is the sheriff needs to know that we're going to be handing out indictments in the summer, and also we're going to be kind of clearing out the courthouse. 70% of our staff won't be in the courthouse in these 3 weeks in early August. So this is roughly, we know now the summer is when indictments should be coming or not coming, and that they're planning for how the response will be and kind of clearing out the courthouse for that. And she's indicated over the course of a year that she's concerned about the security for when this comes out.
Okay, so we've discussed the financial crimes here in New York, the attempt to overturn an election in Georgia. Let's also talk about those classified documents, because former Trump attorney Bill Barr, he thinks that the mishandling of classified documents is a very serious problem for his former boss. Let's play first what he told CBS News last week.
The one I'd be most concerned about if I were the former president is the Mar-a-Lago document case. It's very clear that he had no business having those documents. He was given a long time to send them back.
Now, another former Trump administration lawyer predicted that the mishandling of classified documents would lead the former president to jail time. Is this becoming a growing sentiment among Republicans?
Well, at the very least, we've heard that now from former Attorney General Barr, and that was Ty Cobb, the former White House lawyer. And they kind of laid out the same argument about the Mar-a-Lago documents, that if the Justice Department can show that when they had been asking for documents, those documents were moved instead of turned over to the Justice Department, that's kind of, as far as Bill Barr and Ty Cobb are concerned, an open and shut case. The Justice Department wants the documents, Trump's team knows it, and they move it instead of give it to the Justice Department. Of course, the Trump team has this whole other set of arguments saying that, they were allowed to move the documents or or they were moving things that weren't classified. I mean, there's a whole other side to this, but you have his own former attorney and his own former attorney general saying that they think it's a strong case.
All right, more to come. Graham Cates, no summer vacation, it sounds like, for you. Thank you so much,
Thank
Graham.
you.
Thanks.